Hello, and welcome to Exploring Cinema. Today's review is on the 8th film in my 2017 Best Picture nominee series, so we're almost at an end. There's only one more after this. And this is the review on the film that actually won the award, which is Barry Jenkins's Moonlight. And why am I not doing this last? Simply because there is one other film in the list of nominees that I will always believe should have won. And that's not to say that this is a bad movie. It's really not. It's an amazing movie. The main reason is because when I first started watching the movie, I didn't really care for it, and I actually was confused as to why it was even on the list in the first place. But then my girlfriend convinced me to watch it a couple more times just to understand it, and now because of that, I think it's a near flawless movie. Moonlight presents the three stages in the life of the main character, Chiron, and explores the difficulties he faces with his sexuality and identity, including the physical and emotional abuse that he endures while growing up. Two characters in this film are actually very difficult to talk about as far as how they're written and a performance, because both are played by three different actors. The first is the main character, Chiron, and the second one is Chiron's childhood friend, Kevin. Each actor from each section of their lives give excellent performances, though my favorites are Chiron as a child and Kevin as a teenager. For Chiron, I must touch on one aspect of the character that I really enjoyed. The audience is given both the external persona, which is the individual person that Chiron shows to the public, and then the inner self, which is who he truly is. Chiron is ruled by the identity shaped by how his community sees him and how he reacts to their perception. He is a beautifully written character. Mahershala Ali portrays one who is a drug dealer who finds Chiron as a child when he's away from home, and he becomes a kind of father figure to him. One is my favorite character in the film by far. Even though his profession is definitely not something you think a true father figure would be, one comes across as a man who wanted to be something else, but his upbringing made it impossible to be anything else, so he eventually fell into a life of crime. He's very fair and loving, and even teaches Chiron that being different from most people is okay when others insult and torment Chiron for it. He's actually considered an ally, which for those of you who aren't familiar, an ally is a heterosexual person who supports homosexual rights. Ali won an Oscar for his performance, and I can tell you that it is most definitely deserved. Naomi Harris plays Paula, Chiron's drug-addicted mother. She seems to care more about sex and getting a fix than she does about Chiron. Now, the character is written just fine, though honestly I didn't believe Harris's performance most of the time. She said everything in the right way, and even looked the part, but whenever I looked at the expressions on her face, I just couldn't feel it. And I still don't understand why she was nominated for an Oscar for this. I think she did a very mediocre job, other than saying doing the lines right, and, even physically looking the part. While Moonlight is the standard three-act structure, it does something that to me feels unique. Each act is set up like chapters of Chiron's life, titled by whatever nickname or name he goes by during that time period, and they highlight the fragility, mutability, and complexity of an individual's identity over time. Each iteration of Chiron is vastly different from each other, and as he goes through his life, he begins to discover who he is as a person, especially on an emotional level, and it's an amazing sight to see this kind of personal journey. The film impeccably captures the unrelenting feeling of the urban environment that kids these days grow up in, and it doesn't exercise any of those really stupid cliches that cinema and television tend to utilize about the African American culture. And my favorite aspect of the film from a story point is the utilization of an all-black cast, and how I have never seen or heard of this particular kind of story being told from the perspective of the black community. And Chiron goes through something that is considered extremely abnormal for that community, So he has to learn how to accept that as well as himself. The cinematography is beautiful in this film. While not every shot looks like I want it in a poster, there is not one shot that feels out of place in this entire movie. And the camera work is just so inventive and feels new and original because each shot has a purpose, and that purpose is to express Chiron's inner self from one moment to the next. You're also able to analyze the movement of the camera to determine who characters are and their emotions, and even show the connection and the relationships between the two characters. There are even shots where a character will be talking and their mouths don't move at all. At first the addition really annoyed me, I didn't understand it, but after a couple of rewatches, I've noticed that they happen in moments of surrealism, you know, where you don't really know that you can't really understand why they're happening, but you know that they're happening. And honestly, that's amazing. All of what I just discussed about the cinematography is what draws us in and does not let us go. And this is why I consider the camera work to be a cinematic triumph. The score in this film is composed by Nicholas Brittle, and this score put him on my map. It is so brilliant that I will not talk about it in depth, because it's a score that needs to be experienced. It's powerful, emotional music at its finest, and it just captures the imagination. It definitely has segments that feel like Brittle was experimenting, but nevertheless, those segments fit in with the overall score perfectly. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of buying scores, but this is actually worth it. I actually think this is a score worth having. To recap, Moonlight is a near-perfect film with amazing characters and stellar acting throughout, despite the fact that I don't enjoy Naomi Harris's Oscar-nominated performance. A raw and enthralling story, the most beautiful and meaningful cinematography that I've seen in a long time, and a superb musical score that I feel is comparable to the perfection of most John Williams scores. I'm gonna go ahead and give Moonlight a 4.5 out of 5 reels. As I said, this movie would be perfect if it wasn't for Naomi Harris. Now, as I stated earlier, this was the film that won Best Picture, and I can see why. However, it wasn't even my pick for the award or even the runner-up. The runner-up was actually Hacksaw Ridge, and the main pick? Well, that's the topic of one of my upcoming reviews, so be on the lookout for that. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching and listening to me ramble. Now, I must ask, what did you guys think of Moonlight? Did you love it, hate it, you were indifferent, haven't seen it, etc.? What were its strengths? What were its weaknesses? Leave an answer in the comments below. I want to know your thoughts. I welcome new perspectives. Be sure to subscribe if you have not already for more reviews and content. There is always more to come. And for other ways to help to support the channel, please check out in the description down below. Thank you once again for watching, and farewell until the next video. Bye.